All right.
Well,
Well,
you did have somebody parachute in, so that was cool.
we did have somebody parachute in. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Fresh off of an unbelievable night at Heart Health Park, we brought Will Hodges on, who formerly was the editor of Indomitable City Soccer, covering the Cup, the Open Cup for the Cup.us. Does some freelance stuff for U.S. Soccer as well. Will, good to see you, man. I'm excited to talk about last night. Lot to get into, so good to see you.
Yeah, appreciate you having me on, Connor, and hopefully you were rested. I think we're all catching up on it, but what a night last night at Heart Health Park. Really great experience.
Yeah, I think everybody who was there had a good time and enjoyed the final result, except for maybe the San Jose fans who were in the building, who had a great showing by them. By the way, they're fans. They were loud for portions of the game,
Yeah,
but
for
they
sure.
were great. But they were great. I wanted to ask you, what were your kind of impressions coming into the game? What were your thoughts? What did you think was going to play out?
Yeah, I mean, I think like most Republic fans that have been and anyone who's been monitoring the Open Cup and how the Republic have performed in the tournament over the years, I think everyone felt they had a really good shot. And so I felt like that going in, and certainly as the game came in, and Phillips with the brace in the first half, and um, defensively they were pretty solid. You know, it 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 went really well for them, obviously, and the second half was San Jose made some adjustments, made some substitutions, started putting some pressure on the Republic, but I thought the way they responded was really a testament to what Briggs and the teams got going over there. Just to be able to go down, to concede the lead late in the 80th, and then do enough to kind of hold on and get to extra time, and then go down, and then to respond the way they did was it was incredible. I was talking to a few folks, and I've had the privilege of being at the Miracle of Bonnie. I was at the Sporting KC penalty game where they advanced. That has to be top three, if not top five games ever in Sacramento. And you could really feel it in the building. It was just like, complete euphoria from the fans. And can't say enough about what the team did, particularly the late substitution by with Herrera um, and and
Toronto too, right?
Pirano just were that changed the dynamic of the game. I mean, I think Briggs said it post game. It won the game for them because they were a little stagnant, but all of a sudden they kind of got back on the front foot. And you saw it. They got 2 goals there in a couple minutes.
Well, I want to mention a couple things. So going into the game, we found out pretty like right before kickoff, or maybe a couple hours before kickoff, that Cicerone would not be available. Who's going to be out for a little bit of time. So we see Kieran Phillips get the start alongside Trevor Ammon, which we haven't seen yet. Those two guys really play together for an extended period of time. So you're thinking, all right, well, that's going to change the formation a little bit. We'll see how that works out. Obviously, Kieran really was unbelievable, especially in that first half. 2 great goals. He nearly had 2 more. He was fantastic. And then I have a theory, Will, about this game, following this game. I think the Miracle of Bonnie is won in like the drama of the game, the back and forth. But Miracle of Bonnie, you're down 2-0, you come back, score 3 times in the second half. That's unbelievable. I almost, and I don't even know the right way to actually word this, but my mindset is like, okay, you go down a goal early, you come back, take the lead 2-1, you concede a goal late, go into extra time, you give up a goal early. Like just the roller coaster of emotions throughout this game. Like it, to me, that that meter, the roller coaster of emotion meter, which isn't a thing, but that's to me higher than some of the Open Cup games in 2022, because I maybe the PK shootout when the save was made and then they decided, no, he came off his line early. Like that was a roller coaster of emotions too, but in a different way. And I don't know if that made any sense at all, but that's kind of my, like my mindset is like, this game was so insane. There was so much back and forth. It was just unbelievable. And 7 goals. I mean, it was just crazy. Am I making any sense?
You are. It's the magic. I wrote this in my game recap for the Cup.us. It's the magic of the Open Cup. It's why I think so many of us are drawn to it and love it. You never quite know, and you're never quite out of the game. And we saw that unfold last night in Sacramento. Yeah, I sort of compared it to for those that watch Saturday Night Live and the old character Stefan, who
Yes.
was played by Bill Hader. He would always, in his sort of bit, would always say like, "This club had everything." Well, this game had everything.
Yeah.
It was wide open style of play, a ton of goals, like you said, 7 goals, the back and forth, the emotion. Just it had everything, and that's why, yeah, we'll have a year or 2 years from now, we'll kind of maybe have a better perspective of where this ranks all time. But I agree with you. I think it's right up there. It had everything. It really did.
Yeah, and I'm not even comparing it to like the how I'm just talking about how good the quality of the game was in terms of the
Yeah,
emotion, not necessarily the gravity of the game, right?
sure.
The Miracle of Bonnie, the championship game in 2014, still live higher. The Sporting Kansas City game still lives higher, and all those things. But just in terms of the emotion, the back and forth of the emotion of this game to me was unbelievable. I want to mention the third goal too, because if I keep watching that replay, just an unbelievable set of sequences here. We got it on the screen for people who are watching this clip. Just like very like one touch, tap, tap, tap. Luis gathers and then scores. Just that whole sequence is unbelievable. And then to equalize, to me, that was, I mean, there were many plays of the night, but that was probably for me the play of the night, just because of how difficult really all of those touches were. And then Luis to be able to one time it and score. I mean, it was, to me, that was the toughest and most incredible play to watch of the night.
Absolutely, no doubt. High quality. Everything that's happening there, just sort of needs to be done almost perfectly, and they executed
Right.
it. And it's again the way I kind of and having the fortune, like many fans, like watching it over the years, like you can see the cohesion between the players, and and it shows in moments like this, high pressure moments where you need a goal, and they're able to execute it. It's extremely impressive. You talked about Phillips, and here's a guy who's just getting his feet under him. Been with the club now, I don't know, about a month, but he mentioned last night he hadn't really played since November, and I mean you can see the difference that he's making out there. And you mentioned the injuries too with Cicerone, now maybe Lopez. There are others. It'll be really scary to see when this team actually gets healthy and what they can do. But the depth that the Briggs has is incredible. And not to go off too far here, but it's just, again, I look at it, it's a testament to the players that they're bringing up through the academy. There's a lot of academy talent that's come through there. It's coming through there. So he's got options, and they needed those options late in the game last night.
Rafa Jauregui came in, had an assist on that Felipe goal. He was a part of that play that
Yeah.
I just mentioned that we just talked about. He was great.
Yeah.
Speaking of the academy as well, Chibi Ukebu came in, played really well. Probably should have scored an unbelievable save by San Jose.
Yeah.
I think that would have. I think he had two that would have almost. I think would have won the game. I'm trying to remember what minute those were, but there were multiple opportunities that he had that were unbelievable. And the 86th minute was the one that I can think of. And then that Sacramento had
Mm-hmm.
another chance right after that. But seeing him come in, I mean, he's a young talent, looks completely comfortable out there being thrown in, and he hasn't played that many games this year in league play. Mark Briggs feels comfortable enough to put him in this situation in an Open Cup elimination game, in a tight elimination game. I mean, that says a lot about what Mark Briggs thinks of his quality. And yeah, he was fantastic. So I agree with you on the academy stuff. I wanted to ask if we can sneak into the Pirano and the Herrera substitution. I mean, it seemed like everything flipped. And for people who are listening to this, mostly are diehard Republic fans, we haven't seen a lot of those guys this year. We signed Pirano midseason last year. He got minutes here and there. We got to see glimpses, not a ton. Herrera's been injured many times. He was really good at the beginning of last year. Now we have these two strikers in Kieran Phillips and Trevor Ammon who've been so good. It's been hard for him to see the field. Plus, he's still been injured. He comes back in. He made an instant difference. He had multiple opportunities. He had a header that was, again, another great save. And then he was the one who scored the goal. And those two guys completely flipped the script. Great substitution by Mark Briggs to have confidence in those guys to come in and make an impact. Pirano in those games, I think he's the best player with the ball at his feet on the Republic, and he showed that last night. And they, both of them together, you can see that they celebrated to that. They had a little planned celebration when Herrera scored. So those guys, they have a rapport together, and you could tell once they came on together that they felt confident.
Yeah, like you said, absolutely changed the game. As I mentioned earlier, the Republic were, sort of holding on to. There was a lot of pressure from San Jose. I mean, you talked about the chances Republic had in the waning moments of regular time in the 86, 88, but on the other side of the field, San Jose had some amazing opportunities too, where so that's but yeah, these two players, I mean, kudos to them for maybe not seeing as much time. And coming in and making a huge impact. You got to think that moving forward, whether it's in the Open Cup or league play, these guys are going to get more run. And especially with some of these injuries now kind of adding up. And that's got to be reassuring for Briggs and his staff and certainly fans.
Yeah, the injury thing is important. You got Cicerani out for a little bit of time here, about a month and a half, depending on. We don't know about Roro yet. We're hoping he's doing well. It was good to see Roman Lopez there last night. We all know the story surrounding that. In the post-game man of the match interview, Luis shouted him out, saying that the goal was for him, the win was for him. Thought that was incredible. I wanted to quickly look at some stats. So we talked about how crazy the game was, and it was, but just the open style of the match too, I wanted to discuss. And I think you and I talked about it last night, just very open, just a lot of space. 19 shots for San Jose, 15 for Republic. The expected goals, this is kind of shocking, 1.58 expected goals for Sacramento, 2.14 for San Jose. But Republic had 5 shots on target, 4 for San Jose. To me, that's just as a perfect example, mostly just the shot numbers of how back and forth this game was consistently throughout. And to me, that's the most fun soccer to watch, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, between that, there weren't many, at least in the first half, there weren't many fouls to the game, just kind of clipped along. And that's from a fan perspective, and anyone who's just watching casually, I mean, just so enjoyable to watch that style of game where kind of each team is on the front foot and super creative in the build up. And I'm thinking of the Jack Gurr, for fans that were, kind of watching that, there was a lot of that was the only time of the game where I kind of remember it was a little stagnant. Republic weren't moving the ball up too much. And then within like 10 seconds, a ball was played deep to Jack Gurr. He makes this great run up the right-hand side. You have Phillips making this bolting, trail in.
Yes.
And here it is right here. And
watch him cut front post, Phillips. Near post. Boom. Oh, man.
Yeah. And, that, again, like the 2 or 3 minutes before that, the ball was just kind of popping around in the back. But that's the kind of stuff that was playing out last night, just explosive kind of build-up plays. And super fun to watch. It had everything. It really did.
So, and for people who don't know, Will, you used to cover the team pretty much every game for Indomitable City Soccer. You obviously haven't been doing that as much. You've come to cover some of the Open Cup games. What has your experience been like coming back? Are you a fan at this point? Like, what are you rooting for? I mean, I'm sure you're rooting for Sacramento, but you're in the press box last night. There's a dumb rule that I would never follow, that there's no celebrating in the press box and stuff like that. That wasn't happening right now. There was high fives and celebrating going on, right? Are we writing? Like, what was going on in the press box?
No, I mean, I think the Republic media staff can attest to this. I try to keep it cool. I certainly, I love Sacramento. I live here. A big fan of the club as well, but I've always tried to, manage those sort of outbursts when they happen if I'm covering it, because the reality is Republic could have lost last night, and I have a story to write that includes, a more heavily favored earthquakes kind of angle to it. But yeah, I mean, when I was writing for Indomitable City Soccer, it is, as part of SB Nation, and that was a fan sort of supported content site. So
Right.
absolutely a fan of the club, and know a lot of people obviously there. So, but I try not to get caught up in that when I'm at least covering it.
Well, you and I are different in that way. It's
Yeah.
But I know, I'm just kidding. I know that is the role, and I totally appreciate that. That's why I don't sit down next to the fourth official. I used to do it. I don't do it anymore. Just it can be a bit much. Briggs celebrated the fourth goal with one of my stage managers last night. He's pretty new this year. Like jumped into him in celebration in my state. I mean, he loved it. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that. I thought that was hilarious. A couple things here before we start moving forward is I want to talk about next steps. I did talk to Jacker, and maybe if you could talk a little bit about what the press conference stuff that was talked about last night. But I talked to Jack, asking him, "Hey, how are you feeling legs wise going into Saturday?" And he's like, "I'm 120 minutes, especially the way he does 120 minutes."
Yeah.
Is nuts. So then you go into Saturday, and that kind of brings me to the point here of the next month-ish with when the next game will be in July, that July window for the Open Cup. It's going to be interesting. We're going to have some injuries, like you mentioned. It's going to be opportunities for guys to step up, but the depth so far has been encouraging. Do you leave that game with question marks about how Sacramento is going to be able to handle those depth questions going forward, or do you feel pretty confident in their being able to fill in certain spots?
I mean, I think you look at Briggs and his team, and a team of coaches, I should say. I think they've done a really good job of balancing this over the years, and giving players a new shot. And we've already seen some of that through the first two Open Cup matches for the Republic already. So I think the beauty of having a deep roster. I can't think of a time, honestly, that the Republic had a deeper roster than they do this year.
I agree.
I'm probably wrong, but I've been covering the club for since the first year, and I don't remember them being this deep. So it's got to be there's got to be some comfort in that for fans and for Briggs and his staff, knowing that whoever they plug in there, they're going to get a high result, certainly effort. Nothing to date has said otherwise. So again, the depth, the way they've managed prioritizing the Open Cup and the league, I think they've figured this out. And so I would expect no drop off come Saturday.
I look forward to it. I want to mention a couple notes. The win last night marked Republic's 12th straight unbeaten game this season, a new club record across all competitions. Previous was 11 in 2016. Against MLS teams in the Open Cup, Republic have advanced 6 times since 2014. 4 of them has been with Mark Briggs. Obviously, that includes 2022, where we did it 3 times. Tuesday was 20th all-time home victory in 31 Open Cup games. The record is 22-1. That leads me to my next point, and I'm sure people who follow in the club have seen what's been going on with the Cal Expo stuff. Obviously, Mark Briggs was asked about it post-game, and he was pretty candid about it. I'll let his words speak for himself. Also, not try to get myself in trouble. And then Cal Expo. I'm honest, William. I'm honest, man. I just tell people how it is. I gotta stay out of trouble.
He had some very, very strong words posted,
yeah,
for sure.
Yes, he did. They recanted this morning. They're looking forward to figuring out how to put this game on, which is great news because I just mentioned that record, 22-1. Sacramento was favored coming into this game according to the betting odds, which I don't check for myself. I just check because I'm curious. We're not allowed to bet here.
That's right.
So just making that also clear. Again, being honest, everybody. But yeah, I mean, it shows that when Sacramento plays at home and they have that fan base, and this leads me to the crowd question. The crowd last night was unbelievable. Even when Republic went down 1-0, still great. Went down 3-2, still great. They were fired up. It was as electric as I ever remember it being. What did you feel last night with the crowd?
I mean, yeah, I will answer it by this. I can't remember a time where the atmosphere was that electric. The Tower Bridge Battalion were as loud as
Yes.
I've ever heard them through the entire 120. In fact, I noticed it even when they went down, it seemed like they kind of ratcheted it up a little bit. And so they were incredible. Where the media are to the stands to the right of us, they were starting their own sort of movement of chanting Sacramento and Republic, and it was between that the ultras who were well represented, and on both sides on the other end of the field. Like I can't remember a time where you had supporters from both sides and the battalion being as loud as they have. That home crowd is definitely the X factor. So we'll find out, I guess, later today whether or not they're going to host. But man, that would be incredible for the city, incredible for the fans, our community to be able to host again that level of match and such a prestigious tournament. So, I'm hoping it comes to fruition. So we'll just have to see. One other thing I wanted to mention, you were mentioning stats earlier about the record for the Republic and the records that they set last night. For fans that don't know, Sacramento handed San Jose their 10th consecutive road loss in the Open Cup tournament.
Wow.
Which on top of beating them 2 out of the last 3 years, has to feel a little bit good. So I'm sure Republic fans are not sad about the setting that 10-game losing streak, but it's currently the largest losing streak in Open Cup.
Wow. Wow.
So anyway,
truly San No Way, Jose. Truly. For everybody listening, I told Will before we started, I was dying to get a San No Way, Jose in last night, and I wasn't able to get it in, so I'm getting it in now. I had one more thing that I was really excited about, and now I just forgot what it was because I was excited to say San No Way, Jose. Gosh dang it. We'll edit this out. What was I going to talk about? It was so important. Shit. I have no idea. Was it Cal Expo?
Was it hosting Cal Expo?
What were we talking about? I can't believe what the hell it was.
We were talking about
I know what it was. I got it. No, it's I have a story. Okay, so I want to tell this story, Will. Last night, I walk over to the east side. I think I was in section 117, so right by where the Ultras were in 120. There's a Republic fan, big Republic fan, shirtless. And the reason why that's important because the Ultras were shirtless for much of the game.
Yeah.
Maybe to get a tan. I don't know. They seem to be having a good time. This guy, he'd had a few $2 Modelos, and he was yelling at these San Jose fans. He was saying, because he had his shirt off, he was yelling, "You only get to keep your shirt off if you win. If you lost, your shirt goes back on." And he's just berating these San Jose fans. And I loved every second of it. It was fantastic. So if that guy's listening to this, you're the man. I hope you got home safe. I'm sure he did.
I didn't see that. That would be great to see. I was appreciating there was a fan to the right of us who, anytime San Jose had the ball on their attacking side, was helping the linesman with his own Republic fan calling offside, which I thought was fantastic. And to his credit, I think he was right, 4 out of the 5 times. So he was clearly having fun. But yeah, it was just like that kind of just sort of brings color to the atmosphere last night and how much fun it was for the city and for the club.
It was fun. It was a blast. It was great weather, great night all the way around. And hopefully with the draw going well, we'll do it again in July. So I can't wait. And Will Hodges, thank you so much. You can read your piece, I'm sure, went out last night, right?
Yeah, we put it out last night. People can find it at thecup.us. I post everything on my Twitter account. It's just William_Hodges for people that want to follow there. It's not just Republic coverage. I try to cover across the Open Cup where I can realistically get to. I can't travel down the state for an Open Cup game, but I don't know. Maybe if the Republic, we'll see where it goes. It might take me somewhere not expected.
Yeah, and I think so far, I think New Mexico's moved on. I'm trying to remember who else, and I think LAFC moved on, and Seattle
LAFC.
plays tonight. Yeah,
That's right. Yep.
and Seattle plays Phoenix. Yeah, that's right. They play Phoenix tonight. So we'll find out at 7 p.m. On the West Coast. That's right? Yeah, 7 p.m. on the West Coast. So Phoenix and Seattle must play relatively early then, or do they? No, they're doing the draw before. They're doing it. This is why I should have read my notes ahead of time, Will. They're doing the draw before. Yep. That's right. All right. Well, hopefully we get a home match. I appreciate you coming on, Will, having some fun with us. This was a blast. It's another night at Heart Health Park. I don't know about you, but I definitely won't forget.
Yeah, agreed.
I appreciate
Thanks
it.
for having me on. I appreciate it, Connor.
Yeah, man. Of course. Good to see you as always. And you can catch Will's article on thecup.us. Thank you so much, man.
Thanks. Take care.
All right.